Welcome in Deseret News Rewind. Dusty Litster, Dane, Stewart, as always, presented by Hyde Associates, brought to you by the Utah Army National Guard. We're outfitted by Black Clover. And as we always talk about in our schedule videos, our mental performance is brought to you by Riley Jensen Consulting. And we're not, as we normally do, we're not going to waste any time getting right to our picks. It is championship week. We've been banging this drum from the very beginning. We know numbers and cases are going up. Some things have changed, but folks, a lot of people deserve lots of things to allow these boys in any way, shape, or form to get to this week, because most people, as we've joked about all year long, and told us, hey, enjoy week 4 because it's about as far as we're going to go. I even had people last week texting me, hey, I hope you enjoy your last week of football, and maybe we won't even get to this week. We'll only be games on Thursday or Friday or whatever. We're here. Championship week. Dane and I are going to be scaling the state. Wherever we play the games for 5A, 6A, we will be there. Watch them on Deseret.com. And hit us up on Twitter at DNewsRewind. We'd love to talk with you. It's the final football games of the year. Dane knows this. I go into deep depression at the end of this, and I'll be talking with Riley Jensen quite a bit. So football season coming to a close. But let's jump right into it. Start first with the 4A state championship game. We played on Saturday down in St. George. Again, Dane, Stewart, and I will be there. It is St. George versus Cache Valley. It's happened before. It's going to happen again. Skyview versus Pineview.
Dusty, I'm really excited for this contest. You know, one of the things that for me in thinking about this game, I'm really interested. Didn't think I would have said this a couple weeks ago. Can Skyview keep the scoring pace with Pineview? Pineview, week 1, they opened the year against Ridgeline. They scored 38 points against Ridgeline. I don't know if anyone's done that all year long. I mean, that offense, I just wonder, how does Skyview keep pace with the offense of Pineview? Because every week they are lighting up the scoreboard. Now, that being said, they've been limited a couple times. Highland, limited them. Crimson Cliffs limited them. So it is possible. The way they played the last couple weeks, though, I don't know how Skyview does it. That being said, Dusty, I picked Skyview all year long. Week 1, I was on Skyview. Bracketology, I was on Skyview. And you look at what the Skyview team has done, Dusty, they have put up points. Like, they have been scoring quite a bit. I mean, in fact, 28 against Ridgeline, which might be one of the best defenses in 4A, is the fewest points they've scored since the first matchup against Ridgeline. Skyview's offense will put up points as well. I've ridden with the Cats all year long. I went to school in Cache Valley. Go Skyview. I'm staying with the Bobcats.
Hey, that's a great pick. Reigning 4A champions, and Cache Valley versus St. George has not gone the way of St. George very, very well. But 15 years ago, I started on something, and doggone it, I'm staying with it. If I had the ability to go back and show you sometime when Dane and I looked much younger than we do right now.
The time machine doesn't even go that far back, Dusty.
15 years ago, I went James Lark over Riley Nelson, and maybe I haven't learned my lesson. I'm going Pineview over Skyview, and Coach Hasna and the Panthers, just like Juab, they're going to raise their first banner in football. Now let all the reigning champion Skyview Twitter handles come after me the way the Beaver went after Dane. But so be it. But this game is going to be interesting. Very, very interesting game. I don't have a great read on it, but I picked Pineview at the very beginning in bracketology, and I got to stay with them. Going to stick with them. Yeah, I'm sticking with them. All right, let's go to 5A. Timpview versus Orem, a rematch of last year's state championship game, a game of which was won 21-7 by Orem. Ton of turnovers forced by that Timpview defense. Timpview could not snap the ball inside the 5-yard line, turnover after turnover, and missed opportunities by Timpview. This team looks a little different, looks better, but Orem has coming on 4 weeks off. That whole streak of games not being played started with the Timpview game. They can't duck each other, the region foes, and now they have to play each other in the state championship game. Hopefully all the COVID tests come back clean, because this one, it's going to be a slobber knocker.
It really is, Dusty. I mean, you look at this and, you consider two of the top defenses in 5A, two of the more physical teams up front, and I just love the way these two teams match up. I mean, I just think that this is going to be such a fun contest. You can really say the running games, in my opinion, are comparable. They're a little different style, but similar in terms of effectiveness. Their defenses are both shut you down kind of defenses. We saw Timpview create some more turnovers in the semifinal than Orem did, but Orem certainly can. The difference in my mind a little bit is the passing attack. And actually, Amavai threw the ball fairly well this last week, given the conditions and whatnot. Fea, though, I mean, the stats aren't going to wow you. Tell you, I was at the stadium that night. It was tough conditions. He threw the ball pretty well, and he's got dynamic receivers on the outside that can create a lot of opportunity for that Orem offense. Look, Timview, it's been a fantastic year for the T-Birds. They've gritted through so much, both on the field and off the field. It's phenomenal to have them here in a state championship game. There's one thing I know. I don't expect to see 5 fumbles from the center to the quarterback in this matchup. And if that doesn't happen last year, Timview probably wins that 5A championship. But it did, and Orem won it. That being said, I think Orem is going to come out. Timview, I haven't picked you for a while. It's led to good things. This is nothing against Tia's tribe, but I'm going to go with the Orem Tigers.
Well, it's interesting. When we picked this bracket, I didn't obviously have Timview getting past Brighton, and that helped. Yep. I didn't pick them last week. That helped. And I'm not picking them now. I think Orem has played great football. They looked absolutely spectacular in the semifinals. And again, it's nothing against Timview. I just feel like Orem is rolling. I can't declare on Twitter I love Joe Smith and then go against it. So maybe I could, and maybe I should. But Orem has been playing really good football. But if nothing else, it's been good for Timview for us not to pick them, and it's been great for Orem for us to pick them, because we've both been riding Orem all year long anyway. Even when they weren't playing, like, this is the team to beat in 5A. Didn't think anybody was going to come close, that was going to really challenge them in 5A in the first place. And now if Timview can play the way they did against Salem Hills against Orem, this championship game is going to be very, very, very good. And so I expect it to be a great game. But we're picking a way that we think and hope will provide us a great game, because one thing you need to know about us, don't care who wins. All we care is that we have good games, especially when we're calling them. And that's certainly what we expect on Friday night in this one. All right, let's go to the 6A championship game, a rematch of a Region 4 game, of which, interestingly enough, Lone Peak had a lead at the half. I was there, watched it. They looked spectacular start of that game. Luke Romney went right down the field, boom, 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 RPOs, and got touchdowns. John Henry Daly had a strip safety in the end zone on Jackson Dart, and all of a sudden it felt like maybe Lone Peak's got something here. And but then Corner Canyon turned things on. So here we go. Lone Peak, Corner Canyon in the 6A title game.
Well, Dusty, this was interesting. When we did our bracketology, I kind of thought this might be where we end up, and it is. That being said, I haven't had the opportunity to watch Corner Canyon live all year long, and I've been at other games and whatnot, and the chance that I had this last week to see them live for the first time, man, the way that they're playing right now, I'll tell you what, that is a tough engine to stop, and it really is. It's like a locomotive. Just storming downhill. And they have rolled through everybody they've faced all year long, with the exception of Lone Peak and Skyridge. And now Lone Peak gets another opportunity. I know that the Knights are going to think, hey, we had a chance in that first matchup. A play here, a play there, it flips, and all that momentum is gone. The reality is, if you want to beat Corner Canyon, you've got to put together 48 complete minutes of the best football you've played all year long. Cannot be 47 minutes and 50 seconds. It's got to be a full 48. If Lone Peak can do that, they can hang with Corner Canyon. The challenging thing for me is, and even in the semifinal, we see blips in the armor of that Lone Peak team. Doesn't mean they can't, and they can. But for me, I had Lone Peak. I picked them in our bracketology. This is one I am going to flip on, and I'm going to pick Corner Canyon. I think Lone Peak can keep this game close. But you cannot count on 2 drives of less than 10 yards in the second half, right? And you're going to have to find ways to move the ball, to keep Jackson Dart and company on the sideline. That running game, I expect a lot from Cloward and company, Durfee and company, to try to run against that Corner Canyon defense. But I just don't know if you can play a perfect game against this team. So I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Well, the other part, too, is we're going to have the tests come back and everything else. And does Coach Brockbank get a coach in this game? Do you have your all-line coach back? Do you have your offensive lineman that missed on Thursday? Are they going to be made available as well? Because Corner Canyon, they aced that first test. They had 100%. They were good. Everybody was there. So the biggest thing on this one to me is, I agree with you. I think Denny will put together a terrific defensive plan. And John Henry Daly is going to show up. He's going to show out. What does the beginning of this game look like? And my guess is that Ryan Denny's going to say, all right, you want to throw the ball, you go ahead and throw the ball because we're going to dare you to run it, and we're going to force you to run the football and prove that you can do it. And if that has to go through Jackson Dart, I know he's a 1,000-yard rusher on the year. That's a sticky proposition for Eric Carey to have to put his quarterback in. And even though he's historically great this season, I mean, he's accounting for nearly 6,000 yards on the year, for heaven's sake. And it's going to be over 70 touchdowns. So it's going to be very, very interesting. I just don't know you have enough firepower to put this to extinguish the fire. And Corner Canyon, I said it from the very beginning of the year, you weren't going to find me picking against them at any time. There was one point maybe I would have gone Sky Ridge, but I ain't going against them now. Getting to a championship game, I'm all CC in the championship game. Corner Canyon bringing home the 6A crown. And hit us up on Twitter. Let us know what you think. Who are going to win the 4A, 5A, and 6A state championship games? Hit us up at Dane News Rewind, at Dane_Stewart, at Dusty Litster. Championship week is here, folks. Enjoy it. Last football games of the season. And then we go into a deep, deep slumber until next August. Going to enjoy every second of it. But you can catch all those games online at Deseret.com and live.ksl.com as Dane Stewart and I will be on the call for all 4A, 5A, and 6A state championship games. Deseret News Rewind's coverage. For Vince Francis and Dane Stewart, I'm Dusty Litster. Thanks for joining us watching Deseret News Rewind on Deseret.com.